I was just realizing I probably should have chosen a less offensive coffee mug to go on camera. I'm going to have to keep it turned around.
Interesting.
I didn't realize what was on the mug. Sorry, folks.
Well, you should give them like a little better teaser than that. You can like turn it around, but cover the offending. Anyway, you guys can fill in the blank. What is happening? It is Wednesday. I'm Katie. This is Vicky, aka Victoria, if she wants to be taken seriously, like an adult in the business world.
I'm wearing my granny sweater, so probably not.
AKA granny sweater.
Freezing.
AKA pig hair, don't care at all. AKA my fiance. How's that?
Oh, all right.
You're like drinking another cup of coffee this morning.
I'm having a tough time waking up. It's cold. I'm really, really cold. This is about the time of the year where I get angry that it's cold. We live in the desert and it's gorgeous weather 95% of the time. And then we have like this 4-week snap where it's like 30s to 40s in the temperatures, and it gets, in the 30s at night.
Yeah.
And I'm freezing. I don't know how I ever lived in New England for 38 years, but somehow when people say your blood thins when you move to nicer temperatures, I don't know if that's a factual, medical, actual physiological thing, but it sure as heck feels like it, because I can't handle the cold temperatures the way I used to. That's for sure.
See, Vicky moved here from Rhode Island. I moved here from Oregon. Both are places that have lots of not so fun weather throughout the year. And you would think moving to a location where you have amazing weather almost all the time,
we'd be more grateful.
You'd be more grateful, but you would be shocked to realize how quickly, even just like one day of like it being too cold or it raining or whatever, makes you real mad real fast.
Yeah, you seriously, you're like, it's like really, it's
your tolerance level goes way down.
Thankfully, it's really sunny. Yesterday I was in the garage and doing some cleaning and picking. That's where we store our merchandise, right? So I had the garage door open because that's the best way for me to be able to maneuver in and out through the aisles and things. It was cold, but it was nice and sunny. So it was like I was getting a lot done.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm freezing. So I'm wearing my big granny sweater and I'm drinking a hot cup of coffee while we talk. It's like coffee talk.
I'm a little chilly. I have a t-shirt on, but I know that I get super excited and animated when I do these shows, and I usually warm up pretty fast. But I'm actually, if we're going to talk about our beverages, I'm kind of excited because, so we're doing the whole like trying to eat healthy and relatively clean in the new year. Just be healthier overall.
Just so you know, you're getting the new and hangry version of Katie and I.
Oh yeah. Maybe lose a few pounds along the way. And so one of the things that we didn't really make an official decision about it. We just kind of, as we were switching over our food and everything, we decided not to have like as much soda in the house. Like we drink diet soda.
You will not see me drinking Diet Pepsi anymore.
Yeah. So we're not like cutting it out 100% or anything like that. Like if we go out somewhere, it's like, yeah, we'll have a diet soda, but we're not like having it in the house where we're going to drink a bunch of it. We're trying to drink more water and stuff like that. But we're missing a little bit of the bubbly, a little bit of, I like some carbonation. It's refreshing. And so we used to drink a lot of like sparkling water and stuff like that. But I picked up this stuff yesterday. I'm like, oh, how weird. It's like, it says, if you see on it, this is not like, I'm not trying to sell this to you guys, but you see it says lightly lightly caffeinated. It's lightly caffeinated. And I was like, I'll try that out if I can get a little extra caffeine in my water. It actually tastes good. This is grapefruit hibiscus. Does not taste like flowers.
Good. No,
it's pretty yummy. Refreshing. So
I've had a soda stream for a while. I wasn't impressed with it, but that's also partly because our water here is terrible. Anybody that's from the Las Vegas area, they know our water is just awful. And even if you have a good filtration system, it still doesn't taste great. So I think it's because I'm from New England, and I'm not trying to act like that's the best water anywhere, but I know that there are certain states where the water, tap water is fantastic. And Rhode Island is one of them. And the other one is, when we go to camp in the summer, Washington, where we are, the Cascade Mountains, it's gorgeous and the water tastes fantastic. So anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of, I see Alice in the chat. I wanted to bring up the Holiday
No.
travesty.
The holiday debacle. I'm gonna find my picture so I can show you what I.
Yeah.
So I sent Allison a Christmas gift, and just because it was cute, it made me think of her, and so I didn't hear anything from her about it. And we've chatted all the time, and I know that she would have told
thought
me
she was being ungrateful.
No, I was surprised that she didn't mention that she got the gift, right? So I've checked the tracking. I'm like, oh, it was delivered on December 22nd. I'm like, really? I've talked to her like 10 times. What happened? So I messaged her. I'm like, did you get the Christmas gift I sent to you? And she's like, no, I didn't. Why? And so I told her the date, and she said she actually had a couple of returns that came in from eBay that went missing that same day. So it seems like she probably got her packages snatched that particular day. But in any case, since it's the thought that counts, I sent her a photo of here's what you would have had you gotten your Christmas gift. But she makes me laugh every time she says this. Can you guys see what this says? So it's a T-shirt that says, "Damn, Gina."
I want to know. She had 2 returns that were supposedly delivered that day. I want to know, were they like huge amounts? Did you just get? I mean, that
did you get hosed?
I mean, because if it showed delivered, then I'm assuming you had to still give a full refund. But that is a huge bummer.
I hope your package makes its way to you somehow. It makes me sad. If not, there's a chance you'll get the same thing for
Listen, where you live, I don't know what the population is like there, but be on the lookout. If you see some ass walking around wearing a Damn Gina T-shirt, that's when you go up and you punch him. You punch him right in the face. Sorry, this is the hangry version of me.
Ooh, and Allison said, "Oh, she got a loss on 2 items too from the returns. That's terrible."
Ugh.
Porch pirates or mailbox thieves are just rotten.
Lame.
Rotten.
Super, super lame. Anyway, so this is our Wednesday show, the Boss Up and List show. And what, pray tell, my dear darling, Victoria, what is Boss Up and List Day?
Boss Up and List Day is our all-day virtual listing party that we host in the Boss Facebook group. If you are not in the Boss Facebook group, you should be. I see Mike Charmed LV is in the chat. He is one of our local reseller friends that comes to our meetups and is anti social media. He even jumped on Facebook.
He's anti-Facebook.
So he could be in the Boss Facebook group because he felt like he was missing out. He was sick of missing out. So we appreciate you that you're there. And anyway, so the Boss Facebook group is our group that we help Teresa run. It's actually Teresa's group that Katie and I help run with, and a couple of other fantastic admins. And we talk all kinds of business. So it's for new resellers, seasoned resellers, anybody and anywhere in between. We like to think that we are a small-ish group, although we just hit 5,000. We keep small, not necessarily by purpose or by design, but we definitely like it smaller because we have a great engagement rate in the group. So it's we've got about 88% as of a couple weeks ago. 88% of the people in that group are active, committed, and engaged in the group. And that is a huge statistic in a Facebook group. So we're really happy to have that. It means that people like the group. We try to keep it positive. We do a lot of teaching. And nobody gets beat up for asking a stupid question or what they think is a stupid question. So I like that. I like that part. We have a lot of tolerance for new sellers. We especially like new sellers. We want to teach people. So we like it.
Indeed. Anyway, yeah, so we've been doing okay with our, I don't know, holiday resolution.
Dieting.
New year, new you.
Whatever.
This one over here, she gets a little competitive. She gets mad at me. I get flipped off if I lose weight and she doesn't. Yeah, she gets pretty angry about it.
We've been, it's a full week. It's a full week now.
Yeah.
Did you weigh yourself this morning?
I did.
Oh, asshole.
See,
she's smiling. She's smiling. I can tell. So how much have you lost in the first week?
I've lost 10 pounds.
I've lost 6, but 10 pounds in a week. She's like a man.
Here, first of all, I'm 6 inches taller than her. Okay, so it stands to reason that I would lose more. Secondly, I like to drink some beer, and I would usually have it was pretty regular that I would have a beer or 2 on an almost nightly basis. And that's a lot of extra calories. And so you cut that out and it's like, it just comes right off you. It's nice.
Apparently I didn't have those calories to cut out. I just cut out the food.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so this is our businessy show. We talk about businessy stuff. And when we had Sunday show on, I don't remember why it came up, but I was talking a little bit about Sizely. And I had been talking to Eddie, who is the creator, the owner, he's the dude who runs Sizely. He's a good guy. And he gave me some little inside information about some stuff that they're working on, and I was really excited about it. So I was kind of teasing it on the show, and then he popped into the chat and said, yeah, go ahead and show people. And then he also sent me an email. He's like, go ahead and show people what we're working on. And so we're gonna get into that. It's kind of cool. I think I'm excited about it. I think you guys might be excited about it if you sell clothes a lot. So it'd be fun.
Clearly, if you sell clothes, because let's be real, Sizely is a clothing seller tool.
Yes.
There are things, a couple of accessories here and there for people that are not clothing sellers, but overall, it's mostly for a clothing reseller.
Yeah, for sure. And so, so just to start off, Sizely is one of our sponsors of the show. We have two main sponsors, and that's Sizely and the List Perfectly. And so we're gonna be talking a little bit about third-party apps in general and like how you can be using them to enhance your business, grow your business. And those are the two that we really believe in a lot. Vicki uses List Perfectly every day. I use Sizely every day. And so I've been, just to give you a little background, like I've been using Sizely for almost the entire time that I've been selling clothing. I mean, I've been selling for about 4 years. I've been exclusively clothing for probably 3.5 years. And pretty early on, I discovered Sizely. At the time, it was a free site. It was a free tool to use for listing. To be able to demonstrate visually the measurements on your clothing. And so I've been using it from the very beginning. I love it. It was free for the longest time. And then like a year and a half ago or so, they finally became a paid site, which I welcomed, because when they did that, they added a lot of features. Like originally there was a very limited number of templates. And then once they went to a paid site, they added a ton of templates. And so I use it every single day. So we are a sponsor. If you sign up through the link below, depending on what level account you start, we do get a little something from that. But
both for Sizely and List Perfectly, those are our two sponsored accounts. And we clearly, yes, we do get a little bit of a kickback, but we actually do use them both.
Yes, but anyway, anybody who's been following me for ever since like back the Shine Award days, like I've been talking about Sizely for a long time, and I've always used it in my listings. So it's definitely a product that I believe in. So let's just like look at it again. And I don't know how many of you guys sell clothing or if you use Sizely already.
I want you to briefly talk about, we did get a little super chat a little bit further back. So
we did. I didn't even see it. I'm sorry.
And I think that it is one that you want to recognize.
My goodness. I thought we just got another one, but yeah, let me see if I can find it here. Sorry. It's Red Neckerson Resales. First of all, Red Neckerson Resales. Nate, did you change your name back? Because you were going like, you like did a whole name change that threw us off a little bit. But I do like the Red Neckerson's Resales. I think it suits you. $1.63 super chat. And of course, Nate, haven't seen you in a while, but I will give you your special super chat, I guess, sound effect. I know it's not really a song, but here it goes. Are you ready? Cover your ears. Yeah! You like that?
You're a nut. You're a nut.
Well, right when we were saying that, Jenna Harrington busted out.
Is a new member of the Boss Facebook group. I think she's in the Boss group, but she is a new member of our meetup group here locally.
Oh, it's that Jenna.
That's that Jenna. She's a youngin. She's a youngin, and she's probably the youngest person in our meetup group, which I love. And she is
like young blood. You're like a vampire.
I know, right? She is the Posh Queen. So she is a local reseller here in Vegas and is killing it on Posh. And she also sells on eBay and stuff too, but she has promised to teach me both how to shop the bins and help me when I start my Posh account this year. So I'm holding you to that, Jenna. But she's new blood in our meetup group, and she's super enthusiastic. And she's the one that won the coveted Babs picture.
She did
at our Christmas meetup.
Indeed. But of course, I was immediately regretful that I no longer have possession of that. But I'm glad it's in a new home where Babs is being fully appreciated, as she should be. Anyway, thank you, Jenna.
A lot of people in the chat, very active chat as usual. I see Joey popped in, Joey from Ecom 101 podcast. Good to see you in the chat as always.
What's up, Joey? Yeah, Susan Sanders says that Jenna stole it from her. So
She did.
Oh yeah. So Jenna is Posh to Travel on
Posh and on Instagram. If you are new to Instagram or you are new to Posh, she's got some real good tips. I think she did find our group because she was following me or found me on Instagram, and we started chatting, and then she came to our meetup, and so we follow each other on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just certain hashtags, and then those are the ones that are going to come up that have content that people have in there. So
all right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to share the screen here and just show we're just going to do a brief kind of demonstration of what Sizely is all about if you don't already use it yourself. This is the website here. Let me make it big here. This is the website. So basically this is the concept. You know, anytime if you're listing clothing, honestly, it is crazy how many resellers that list clothing on eBay or Etsy or other sites don't include measurements. I think that's nuts. Especially if you're listing used stuff, if you're doing like vintage and stuff like that. But even with new stuff, from brand to brand, sizing is going to be different. There's a medium is not a medium. Everywhere when you're talking about vintage, like for me, t-shirts, like in the 90s, a lot of times t-shirts were oversized, so a large is going to be drastically bigger than a large from the 80s or today. And so I think that you lose a lot of sales, or you end up having higher returns if you're not including your measurements.
Yeah, I mean, there are still so many resellers that do not include measurements in the description. I absolutely realize if you are a super high volume seller that sometimes it is worth it to get through listing, and sometimes maybe if you list 400 items a week or something, there are people that do that, and they do minimum photos and minimum descriptions and measurements. And I totally get that if that's your business model. But if that is not you, and 99.9% of you, that is not you. I don't care if you're listing 100 items a week or 200 items a week. You should have measurements in your listings, whether it's
at a bare minimum,
whether it's on eBay or on Posh or any of the other websites. Because here's what's going to happen: you're going to get the questions, then you've got to go find your item, you've got to pull it out, you've got to send the measurements, and it's such a pain in the neck because 90% of the time, I would say, if someone asks you a measurement question, they still don't buy the damn thing. So you've just wasted your time pulling out the measurements and doing
I still get the questions.
I still get them too.
And I say, go look at the picture.
Right.
And then they do. And I don't have to go measure it. But at the bare minimum, if you're listing clothing, you need to have measurements in your description, even if they're just typed out. And it doesn't have to be every measurement, just the basic stuff.
Right.
So,
I mean, I'm not saying you have to do basic things, but like we were saying, especially with women's clothing, let's face it, every woman is shaped differently. Not that men aren't shaped differently either, but for a man, generally, if a man wears a size medium t-shirt, they wear a size medium t-shirt, period. And they're not going to be too hung up on sizing because they know what their sizes are.
But again, medium is not a medium. So it's like, even with a t-shirt, I have mediums that are 18 inches across. I have mediums that are 21 inches across the chest. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, if people ask you questions about your measurements and you have Sizely, it's just because they haven't flipped all your photos. Basically what I do when I use Sizely, I put see last photo for all measurements. I put that in the description, and then the last photo is always the Sizely photo. We're going to talk about what Sizely does for those of you that don't know in a second, but it's really important to have those measurements there for a lot of reasons. You don't want your customers to ask a million questions. It absolutely helps to cut down on returns. It helps to cut down on questions. But, you know, like I was saying, for women's clothing, okay, we've got a woman's size 10 pair of jeans. A women's size 10 pair of jeans can measure like a 14, can measure like a 6, can measure like a 12. Any woman that knows, if you've done the battle of trying to find a pair of jeans, you know that you do not fit the same in a size 10 across the board. You don't fit the same in a size 8 across the board. Every manufacturer has different measurements. And if the item is vintage, God forbid, those measurements are nowhere near what they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And they're not consistent from brand to brand. And depending on how the person, if it's a pre-owned item, has taken care of the item, it could have shrunk. It could shrunk, and it can also stretch out. It all depends. So it's essential to have the information within the body of your listing in some way.
I think it also just makes for a more professional listing, especially if you use something like Sizely. And again, if you're like me, like I only do clothing, and I'm not a high volume seller. I'm a higher price seller. And so for me, it's worth,
Nathan just cracked me up. I'm shaped like a pregnant potato.
It's worth the extra time the tiny bit of extra time that you might take to use a tool like this. So let's look at this again. So this is basically kind of what it looks like. And what's nice is that they give you all these options for measurements that you can use, but you don't have to use all of them. And so here, I'll just scroll down a little bit. You can see this is just like the front page when you go look at it. And it'll look at, hey, look, it's us. Yay. And the reviews down there. Anyway,
and Robin.
Yep, and Robin. And if you look at, it shows the prices here. There's different levels. I think most sellers would be perfectly fine. Almost all sellers would be perfectly fine with the pro level. There's a limit of 300 templates per month. Now, if you're listing more than, I don't list more than 300 things a month. So that level would be perfectly fine for me. I guess if you're a high volume clothing lister and you want to use it, you might need to bump it up. But 300, that's a lot of, when you really break it down to how many you're listing per week, that's up there. But anyway, and there's like, almost a couple hundred designs. If you go up to the next level, it's 235 designs.
It also like a lot of things that we don't really take advantage of using it. We download the template. We download our for each item. So we use, so that holds templates for you. You don't necessarily need them to hold templates depending on what you're doing.
No, this is 300 templates created per month.
Oh, okay.
That's templates created, whether you host it there or you don't. I don't ever host it there. But anyway, let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and log in and just kind of show I'm already logged in here. And what's really nice is, you can save your favorites, so you don't have to look through everything. So I have all my favorites. Or if you want,
and they keep adding things too.
Yeah.
Like I to be fair, since I've been using List Perfectly, it's just another step, and I have not been using Sizely on every listing, so I haven't looked through to see their new templates in a while. Katie does use it every single day. I have not used it, in full disclosure, in a few weeks.
But they have all these different clothing, but it is cool. They've added a lot of stuff. Like what I think is really cool is like the shoe templates. I don't do shoes, but I think this is great, especially like for women's shoes. It has a lot more information, but there's men's shoes in there as well. And it's nice for things like,
look at that tracksuit.
Yeah, it's nice for some of those weird things where exactly, like a tracksuit.
A hoodie zip up. You know what's great in there? Go find the overalls one. The overalls one is fantastic. If you ever sell overalls, whether they're shorts or long overalls, and denim overalls or any kind, they're kind of coveralls, overalls. They're super hard to measure because an overall waist measurement does not actually fit at your waist. It's usually big, and it's it fits below the waist or above the waist, depending on how they're created. I just love that it shows so many different options.
Yeah.
Like, where the waist is, where the rise is, how big the hips are.
Yep.
I think that's fantastic.
Well, yeah,
and you don't have to put in every single one, but on certain things I almost do. The other thing too is dresses. If you sell women's dresses, go to the dresses, would you?
Dresses.
They have so many different options for dresses. They actually could use a lot more, but the basics that they have are pretty good. I always just choose the one that is like just the closest to whatever the outline is of what I'm selling. But they've added a bunch that were not there even 6 months ago.
And they're always open to like requests. If there's like a specific type of dress that you buy a lot and nothing in there quite works for you, you can always email them with maybe like a drawing of what you're looking for. And I don't think it would be that difficult for them to add it if they think it would be helpful.
I love having the overalls one is probably my favorite one, just because it is one of those things that is so difficult to measure. Jeans are also really good. If you look at the bottoms, like we were talking about, scroll up for a second and go to jeans.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let's see. Will it be bottoms?
Yeah. So, flare jeans, straight jeans, dress pants, sweatpants, cargo pants, women's jeans, leggings, all that kind of stuff. They all have different areas. So I think that that's one of those things that is kind of hard to figure out what, you want to take something that looks similar to the outline of your item and go from there.
Yeah.
The waist, the rise, the hips, the measurement at the ankle opening, all of those things are good measurements to give that most people don't think to use all of them when they're doing a listing.
So let me show just like a really quick demonstration. So like one I use a lot is like t-shirts. So even with t-shirts, they've got all these different measurements you can potentially put in there. Like this measurement, I don't do this one. I don't do the sleeve. I don't do the cuff. I don't do the hem, the waist. I literally only do length and chest because to me, like with a t-shirt, that's all that really matters.
I do shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I don't do
well.
that for t-shirts. I do that for sweatshirts because I think it matters because it contributes to figuring out if it'll go, like if it's gonna like a sweatshirt's gonna end up in the middle of your forearm or at your wrist. But with t-shirts, I just don't think it's as important.
Quick question we had in here is which package on Sizely are we showing? This is the Pro package.
Well, no, I'm actually an Ultra because we're sponsors. I got bumped up to Ultra, but this
what we're showing you
virtually
is Pro.
Almost all of it is available on Pro. All of, I mean, it's literally like the difference of like 170 templates versus 235 templates. All the basic kind of stuff is going to be in there for sure. Anyway, so let me just show you. Now I have right here, I have this checked to display both, and this means it's going to show inches and centimeters. I do this because I do international selling, and I do want people who are not using inches, if they're on the metric system, I want them to easily be able to see what the measurements are. And this is another one of the great things when they switched over to a paid site, they added this feature. And I think it helps a lot. So I just go in.
We're going to show you exactly how to do it and how to add it to a listing right now.
Yep.
Jen Lee asked, can you add it to an existing listing? Yes, you can.
Sure.
It's just a matter of editing your existing listing and doing this last step here.
So I put in the length, 29.5 inches. I'll put in the chest, 24.75. And then you scroll down and you click generate, and it goes, it's really fast. There it is right there. And you see like how it no longer shows all those other measurements. It only shows where you put numbers in. And so now it shows it's 29.5 inches in length, and it shows right where the measurement is. And so this is when I actually measure t-shirts, this is exactly where I measure it. And that helps with visualizing, or 74.9 centimeters. And then the way I do it is I actually go ahead and I save image as, and then it goes, I have this, I have a folder that's just for the pictures of what I'm working on at the moment. And so here is the t-shirt that I'm doing. And so I just go save. I don't name the file or anything like that. And then I have my listing right here. So I'm doing this in eBay. I go add photos. It pops up. Now it's got all the pictures right there, including that Sizely. And then right there. So if you were opening, Jen, if you were opening a listing and editing it, and you have all your pictures there. Okay, I don't know what's showing that. Anyway, you would just add photo and add this on to the end of it. But you can see now that that's right there.
There's a couple of different ways to do this. So some people are asking, you know, as Allison says, you want to have centimeters because metric is used every other country except America. You know, we need to have that for our international buyers. But explain how to get it downloaded into the photos. Sorry, I'm computer stupid. Jameson says you're not computer stupid. Everybody handles their desktop and their photos differently. So it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to try and figure out, manipulate it yourself. What I do that is a little bit different than what Katie does is, as you have the photo in front of you, where did you do your download so I can show?
I just went right click on my mouse and clicked save image as.
I have a folder which mine is different than Katie's. Sometimes I just save it right to the desktop. Sometimes I save it right to another folder. Sometimes I just save them to a desktop because then I'm going to grab it right as I'm doing the listing. So you just have to create which way works for you. And everybody's computer is going to be a little different. Their process is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. I already have it set up to go straight to this eBay Picks folder that I use.
You can designate it so that it automatically goes to those wherever you want it to go as you're doing it.
I do this as a temporary folder. And so like after I'm done with this listing, I delete everything in it. And then I go to the next picture I'm going to do. And then, so that's just the way I do it. But anyway, so basically you're just downloading the photo and then uploading it into your listing. It's super, super easy. And so now it's right there for anybody who's looking at your listing.
So now how about you finalize that listing so they can see what that looks like as a.
Okay. I don't know why this, well, I don't necessarily want to do that because here, hold on. Because I basically, I was doing it as an edit. And so I don't want to do it on that one because
all right, so find a listing so you can show somebody.
Here it is right here. So looking at the listing, somebody comes and they look at it and they scroll through your pictures. And there it is right there.
And look at where you put under condition.
I put see pics for detailed measurements. And I also have it in my description, see pictures for detailed measurements. Is everybody always going to follow the instructions? Not necessarily, and that's okay. But at least it's there. And if people ask a question, I do get questions sometimes where they ask, you know, what's the measurement across the chest? And I'm like, please look at the last picture and it's right there. And then they're like, okay, thank you. So that's basically.
Jen asked, "Is this on mobile?" Well, we're on desktop. Is Sizely on mobile? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I personally don't do anything on mobile as far as listings because you can't exactly toggle back and forth between screens when you're trying to do something on mobile. And I think the eBay mobile app is shit. So, I mean, I just don't use it. It's entirely different when you use business policies and things like that. So, everything I do is on desktop. So I can't answer that question. If Eddie happens to be in the chat, maybe he can answer if it's available on mobile. I know it's not an app.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is available on mobile.
Angie, like what I showed it a couple of times. I right click and put save image as, and then whatever your computer is, it'll pop up and you go into like, if you have a folder already, it's like any time that I'm sure you download stuff off the internet from time to time, whether it's pictures or whatever, just however you would do that, it's going to take you to your folders where you're going to be able to choose which folder you want it to go into. Anyway, so yeah, so that's basically like the basics of how it works. And so I use Sizely every day. And but like I said, Eddie told me that they're working on this new feature, and it's still in the development process. So I don't know how far along it is. I don't know when it's going to become available. But when we were on the show on Sunday, I was kind of teasing it, and he was like, "Oh, you can go ahead and tell him what it is," because I figured he wouldn't want people to know about it yet, since it's not actually available yet. But he was like, "No, go ahead, perfectly fine." And so this is just a new thing that they're working on. And you know, I don't know. We don't have the information of like how exactly it's going to work necessarily.
Are you going to show the screen?
I am going to show the screen right now. So this is basically what it is. So we would love to know like what your thoughts are just upon seeing this for the first time. Basically, the way it looks to me is that you would create your measurements in a template. So in this case, you're listing the pair of jeans. You would put your measurements in, and based on the measurements for the style of clothing, it would automatically create this fit chart that would kind of give people an idea, you know, based on like, okay, I'm 5'10", I weigh like 200 pounds. And so I would be able to look at this and be like, well, clearly this pair of pants would not fit for me. Or I'm 5'8" and I weigh about 170. Okay, it looks like these pants would probably fit for me.
Yeah, it's one of those. So if anybody, most of the women in this chat will at least understand this, but if you've ever bought pantyhose before, this reminds me of a pantyhose size chart.
Mm-hmm.
The back of the pantyhose where it would have like A, B, C, or D fit, and then it would have this little chart where you went like based on, you know, your height and your weight, and then you'd find wherever the ideal fit was, and you really want to get like in the middle. So for those of us specifically that sell vintage clothing, that's where this, I think, is a really good key. So anybody that has sold vintage clothing knows that if you pick up something from the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s, the vintage sizing, it might be marked a size 10, but the reality is it's actually a current size 2.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, what I always do is if something is marked a size 10 and it measures as a size 2, an extra small or small, I put extra small or small in the title, and then I'll put in the description, this is tagged a size 10, but it fits as a current size small. Here are the measurements below. This would be something that is actually awesome for a chart to be able to put the information there for someone that maybe doesn't know their measurements per se, because let's face it, even with the measurements there, not everybody reads them. Not everybody knows what their measurements are. So that's where we get returns for fit, even if you have measurements. Because even I know what my measurements are. That doesn't mean everything I buy is going to fit me properly. What your measurements are and where things fall on your body are two different things, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think that this would work really well for things like maybe not jeans. I'm not crazy about looking at that for jeans, but I really like the idea for something like dresses, and skirts, and things that are different than the way they might be tagged.
Right. So Doorless Wing says, yikes, I think the chart is asking for INAD because people could say the chart so they would fit and they don't. I mean, I could see like your concern. At the same time, I mean, aren't you saying that it would fit them if they wear a medium, if it's a medium, or... I mean,
yeah, I think there's got to be some onus of responsibility on the buyer to know.
You know, there's an option for doesn't fit as a return option. And I don't know that, to me, the benefits of a tool like this would far, far outweigh if there was like a person or two that tried to say that it was item not as described because you told them it would fit them. So I don't know. I mean, yes, I definitely think it would probably, that could be a concern. I don't know if it would be enough of a concern that it would make me not want to use a tool like this personally.
Yeah, and you certainly don't need to add this to everything.
No.
This is an extra photo. So this would take up 2 photos if you use Sizely. You'd have your photo for your measurement, and then you'd have this chart as another photo.
I mean, I don't know that it would. I mean, maybe it would be just one picture. I don't know.
Oh, it might work if there's only one. You're right.
So that would be another question. I would probably give feedback to Eddie that, like, hey, would it be possible for these to be one photo so it wouldn't take up
one
extra
photo
space?
would be perfect, but then again, you know, then you have to count on people actually clicking on the photo and enlarging it on their mobile device so that they can actually see it.
Right. And Angie says, makes a good point. I would say make it an option to click it on or off. Yeah, it's kind of like how you're.
Oh, for sure. Like you're able to do centimeters and inches if you want to or not.
Well, I would assume that that would be an automatic, like that you could just show your template or also include this as well. But
yeah, you can absolutely give Eddie feedback on this type of thing.
No, he wants to know. He wants to know.
This is why he's showing us this before it actually is launched.
He'll definitely be watching this later and reading all of people's comments.
I think he was going to try to pop into the chat.
Well, he's at CES this week, so there's a good chance.
In Vegas,
yeah, he is.
We should have had him here.
I know, right?
I didn't know he was here in town.
Well, I mean, we just found out about it. So, anyway, you know, I like the other day, I have a small Lakers starter jacket in size small. It's pretty small. And I've got the measurements in there. And this guy asked me, like, oh, do you have any other sizes? I'm like, no, small is the only one I have. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm 6'3". Would this fit me? And
no.
I was like, yeah, the cuffs would probably stop right about here. I'm pretty sure if you're 6'3", and so whatever. But at least then I would be able to say, hey.
How would someone that's 6'3" not know that he's not a size small, though? What is wrong with that person?
Well, I mean, somebody 6'3", depending on like how thin they are,
they're still not a size small.
I get that, but they might be able to pull off a small T-shirt sometimes.
Even a skinny size small.
I don't know.
Even a skinny size 6'3" is not
He's
a size
a boy.
small.
I don't know. Anyway, and so let me show you the other.
I don't care how much information you provide, you cannot fix stupid.
All right. So let me show the other part of this as well. So this would be if you have multi quantities, multi sizes. So let's say you're selling something new, a new T-shirt or jacket or something, or sweatshirt, but you have small, medium, large, you know, the different sizes. This would be an additional tool where it would show you, like, okay,
it's the Venn diagram of Sizely.
Yeah. So again, like, okay, I'm 5'8", I'm 170. A large might work for me. An extra large might work for me. So it kind of gives you a little bit more information that you would be able to use for a multi-quantity, like a variation in size listing. I don't know. I personally think it's cool, but definitely if you guys have any other feedback or questions or concerns, please put that in the chat, because like we said, you know,
nothing's perfect, but I really think that this is something that looks more compatible with a person that is, you know, an actual retailer, an online retailer. Like if you go to purchase from, say, Nordstrom online, and you go to look at, you're clicking on a specific item and you click on a size chart, they do not give you specific sizes for that particular item. They don't give you measurements for that particular item. You're going to get a size chart for the brand that is going to look something like this. And that's how most people purchase. If they're buying online, that's the way they have to purchase. That's what you do. You're not going to get necessarily specific measurements for each pair of jeans. Oh, I'm looking at this size 12 pair of jeans by Citizens of Humanity. No, you're going to you're going to click in and they're going to give you the Citizens of Humanity size chart.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I love this concept for me, because it's like I'm selling, you know, I just sold a sweatshirt yesterday for like $375. And if somebody's buying a sweatshirt for that much money, for like their favorite band or whatever it is, it's like, I want, you know, maybe it says it's an extra large, but how does it actually fit? Or same thing with T-shirts. If I'm selling a T-shirt for $100, I love the idea that I can have, it's a medium shirt, here's the real measurements, and this is actually like the body type that it would fit best on. Or it's going to be like way off for somebody if you're this height or whatever. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's going to help. For me, I think it's going to be super helpful.
So Better Barbie says it looks like the old pantyhose charts. That's exactly what I said a few minutes ago. It's true. Yes, we are old enough to
I remember those.
Even Katie wore pantyhose once upon a time.
Maybe like to my 8th grade graduation.
You had to wear dresses to church, though.
I don't remember wearing pantyhose.
I'm assuming your parents made you.
I did not. No, I did not wear pantyhose as a child. Wearing dresses to church. But I remember them being at the grocery store, hanging on things. Just like I remember the flash bulbs that you had to buy to put on your camera, and they were at the grocery store, and you get like the 4 flash bulbs, and you hook it. That's how old I am.
So Jen Lee asked, curious if any of you guys that sell shoes get questions from the buyer who wants to know what color socks go best with your shoes. No, just you. I don't know, Jen. You've got the weirdos.
Anyway, so that's just kind of that's just a little teaser, I guess, of that upcoming feature. Again, I don't know when it's going to be actually released. I think it's pretty cool though. You think something that's like so basic, like a size chart for clothing, what's like, what more could you possibly do to enhance that? But I actually think this is really cool. I think it's going to add a lot. But Sizely, I mean, I will tell you, they've got a lot of things on the horizon. I think a lot of things are going to be happening in 2020 with Sizely that's only going to make it a better tool for sellers. But with that said, there are probably no end to the variety and number of third-party apps that are out there that you could potentially be getting either for free or that you could be paying for to possibly help your business. And it's just kind of a question of like which ones are going to benefit you.
There's a reason why there are only 3 that we actually use. There are 3 paid services that we use, and there are lots of them out there. And 2 of them we talk about frequently on the show. The other one that we do talk about occasionally is that we also use WorthPoint. We are going to be working with WorthPoint a little bit more going forward this year, but we are very transparent, and we try to be that way with you guys for a lot of reasons, but also because we're not trying to sell things to you. So we want you to know that if we endorse something or we talk about something, it's something we actually use, believe in, and it helps enhance our businesses. Or we're not just putting our name on something just for the heck of it. And that's probably why we only have subs of under 10,000 or what have you, or we don't have, 400 million followers on Instagram, that kind of thing. But
so like I use Sizely every single day. I don't use List Perfectly yet. They just added Grailed, which is probably going to be the thing that finally gets me to change my ways and start using it. But I do use WorthPoint pretty much every day that I'm listing as well. And I use Terapeak, which I don't pay for, but I guess it's paid for with my store subscription through eBay. So there are a lot of tools out there, but they're the ones that, those are the ones that I feel like really work to help me have a better business and better quality listings. Which ones do you use all the time?
I absolutely use, if not Sizely all the time, I do use it frequently, but I use List Perfectly every day.
Still loving it.
I still love it. Vasquez Vintage asked, have I ever looked at Vendu versus List Perfectly? I have looked at Vendu. Yes. Have I used it? No. I can't speak to it because I've never used it, but I can say that List Perfectly is the only program that allows cross-posting now to 7 different platforms, including Facebook Marketplace, which they just added this week. It is the only one that transfers all of your information, including all of your photos, titles, descriptions, measurements. So for me, I have no desire to downgrade to a program that does less than what List Perfectly does. I do not use all 7 of the platforms, but if I did, that would be fantastic. Right now, I use what I feel like I can manage. I wanted to add Etsy last year. I added Etsy. So for 2019, I had Etsy for the entire year. I feel like I've mastered that platform and continue to sell well on it. And then I decided to add Mercari back at the end of October. And while I don't have a ton of listings on Mercari, I do have several, and I'm selling $400 or $500 a month on Mercari. So the more that I use it and the more I add to it, the better I'm going to be at it. And my goal is to definitely add Posh this year. I know I said for so long I didn't want to do Posh, but List Perfectly has made it almost impossible for me to not do it. I'd be stupid to not take advantage of the fact that it's so easy for me to cross there. I do not want to do the sharing and the following and all the crap that has to do with the social aspect of Posh. So that part I'm going to farm out. I'm going to hire someone to do that for me. But for me to get the listings onto the platform, it's so simple. So there's no reason for me not to do it.
And Lorna makes a really good point, guys. List Perfectly just added a Facebook Marketplace. Now it's for testers only, apparently, that are in the List Perfectly group. But so far, it's working great. So if you're somebody that already maybe dabbles a little bit in Facebook Marketplace, and you would love to be able to cross-list all of your stuff that you have on eBay or whatever other platform, and you want to be able to do it on Facebook Marketplace too, I mean, I think that might even be a game changer.
Yeah. And so Vasquez asked, are we going to use the Facebook Marketplace cross-listing feature? I probably won't personally, unless I'm using it to ship items only, which I'm not entirely sure how to do that there. So I don't think I'll be personally using Facebook Marketplace because I have no interest or desire to meet with buyers or have them come to my house. I'm not dealing with that crap, or meet them somewhere else. It's just, I don't have enough time to like be answering those is it still available questions 900 times a day. I can't do it. I know myself, I'll just go mental. So I probably won't, but I will be using it to add Posh to my repertoire within the next month or so. Yeah, I want to hear back if you do use it.
But the key to that is that you're going to be hiring a virtual assistant to do all the sharing part.
That's the thing. I've gotten to the point where I can only do so much on my own. And I've determined this year that I'm not going to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. I am taking 1 full day off. We are both taking 1 full day off a week, every week, to make sure we have lives. We spent 2 years building our businesses up. And I've literally doubled my business in the last 2 years. And I'm happy to be there, but I've worked my ass off to get there. Now I feel like I have the ability to hire out to do a little bit here and there to other people so that I can spend more time both growing the business without killing myself. I don't want to be burnt out, and I want to actually enjoy having a business and being self-employed and being able to enjoy that. So
yeah, for sure. So Keelam Kisses wants to know if we've done a walkthrough video on how List Perfectly works.
We did. We did have the girls from List Perfectly on. It was not an entire walkthrough, but it's a little bit of one. You can go back and watch that with the girls. It's in our. It was a Wednesday show, so you can search for it, and List Perfectly is in there. The other thing I would suggest is if you go right to their website has links to watch all of the walkthroughs that they do. They didn't have that for the longest time. They actually just put them up a little over a month ago, and they're very informational, full of informational. I don't know.
They're informationally full of information, y'all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe at some point, you might want to do like a live work party where you just like not like an actual like show like this, because it would be a little, it wouldn't be something that people would necessarily want to come and like hang out for. But for people who are actually interested in List Perfectly and seeing how it works, where you would just sit down, share your screen,
I could do that,
and do some actual listing and show like, okay, here's how you create the listing, and then make it go to all the different platforms that you're on. Maybe once you are on Posh, and you can show what it looks like to do Posh, Mercari, Etsy, eBay all at the same time.
And here's I can show you how quickly you can go from creating a listing to getting it out to the several platforms, and how fast that can happen. So those of you that are doing Posh and just don't like to do the sharing aspect and stuff like that, there are many virtual assistants that are available for that type of thing, both US based and not. And the only reason, to be honest with you, I'm even thinking about doing this is because Lorna, who's in the chat, Lorna is one of my best friends, and I absolutely adore her and trust her 1,000,000%. I'm going to be hiring her to do my virtual sharing with Posh. She's just started doing some virtual assistant work for people because she's needed to, for family reasons, back off a lot of her primary business and try to dial it back a little bit. She needs to be available more. And the virtual assistant thing is something she can do easily and quickly to help people without, without killing herself. So
she's not interested in listing, but for her, the sharing part is something that she's good at, and she knows how to do it. And she's been helping some other sellers get to the ambassadorship or what, I don't know, Posh. So I don't know how the process works, but I know that that's important. So it's pretty cool.
So Victoria Smith asked, do I create my listings on eBay and then cross-post, or do I create directly on List Perfectly? It depends on the listing, to be fair. I generally don't cross-post to all 3 platforms right away. So if I know that I am cross-posting something to both Mercari and Etsy, I will create the listing on List Perfectly first, because it's faster if you're going to 2 or more platforms to create it on List Perfectly first. If you are taking a listing and only going to 1 other platform, it's faster to create right on your primary platform, which for me is eBay, because then you use the fast import tool and just cross it over quickly. Once I get to the point where I have a lot of templates stored on List Perfectly, that might not be the case. It might be faster for me to always do it there, but I try to go whatever the fastest route is right now.
Yeah. And so for any of you guys who are ready to try out these either Sizely or not Poshmark, what am I saying? If you're ready to try out Sizely or List Perfectly, please go ahead and click our referral links down below so that we get credit for sending you over. If you are still curious about List Perfectly, but you're not ready to start using it, they have a Facebook group. I'm in the Facebook group, and it's always really cool to see what people are talking about, what they're doing, what their process is. People will have a question and then it gets answered. You'll see somebody say, oh, I wish it did XYZ. And then literally an hour later, they'll be like, hey,
okay,
we just added it.
We added it. It works.
So it's really cool. So if you're just curious about it and you want more information, I think that Facebook group, the List Perfectly Facebook group, which I think you can just like search it in Facebook. It's really easy to find. I think the Facebook group is a good place to start to try to get an idea of what it's all about. But if you're ready to sign up now, go ahead and use our link that's down below and go sign up for it.
Sizely, I believe, has a trial period. List Perfectly does not have a wait list anymore. When they first started, they were taking a step back and onboarding people at bulks at a time because they couldn't handle everybody all at once, and they wanted to make sure everybody got the service that they needed. But now that huge influx has heard about them, and they've started more. They have more technology. They have more people working. They started with just the two women that created the program. Well, but there's no longer any wait list to get on there. No. And they do not have a trial period, but they do have, you can cancel at any time. So if you log on and you do, I think it's 3 days, you do have to give your payment information and all that stuff. But if you cancel within that 3 days, you've paid nothing. Yeah. And if you decide to keep it, it's not like you're signed up for a year subscription or anything like that. You have total control over when you cancel, whether you upgrade, downgrade, anything like that. It's at your fingertips on your account. You don't have to go, it's not like trying to get out of a gym membership. You need a certified letter from your doctor, and you've got to have it in triplicate and go handle it. What gym are you a member of? It's not like almost any gym. Somebody back me up if you ever tried to get out of a gym membership. It's like they want your firstborn and your blood type. But they can have my firstborn. So Sizely, if you click on the link down below, they don't do a trial, but they have a starter level, which is actually free. So I don't think you have to give any payment information. It's just a free level. Now that one, it's very limited as far as templates. There's just 25 template designs. But there's I think there's jeans. I think the t-shirt one might be on there. So you can at least go in there and play around with it and just see what the hubbub is all about. And then you can decide if you want to actually pay for it. But like I said, if you're doing all clothing, if you barely do any clothing at all, then maybe it's not the third-party app that you want to use. Right. But if you do clothing all the time, if you're listing clothing every single day, I think it's going to enhance your listings and bring you up another level. And honestly, when I'm going and I'm trying to buy something like that, somebody who doesn't have any measurements, they don't get my business. I'm going to go to a different one because I need to know what the actual size is, because they do fluctuate from brand to brand, whether they're new, whether they're used. I mean, have you ever seen an extra large vintage t-shirt that looks like it's for a linebacker or a toddler? Both. They're like the really tiny ones. Anyway, I've seen both. Because if it's a 90s extra large t-shirt, it is made super, super wide and made to fit 1 million people inside. Yeah. So all of the 90s stuff is super oversized. Where if you're looking at something from the 60s, 70s, or 80s and it says, oh, it's a size 10 and it wouldn't fit my 12-year-old. Not that I have a 12-year-old, but you know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. All right, guys. We just have a few minutes left. I hope that we were able to give you guys some information that's helpful for your so Rebecca says, I hate sharing on Poshmark. I pay my son $20 a week. Like Lorna says, hire a family member, a teenager in your family. You've got a niece, a nephew, a son, a daughter, grandson, granddaughter, anything like that. Your own kids, if they're old enough, and you can teach them how to do it. For those of you that are looking to hire a VA, I'm going to throw this out there, although Lorna might not be able to do it, but Lorna has been taking on a few clients. If you know her, hit her up, send her a message, see if it's something that works out for both of you. We're just, for sure, I don't know if she has time to take on any more people or not, but I'm just putting it out there. All right. So we just have a few minutes left. So if anybody has any other questions, any business related questions or whatever, ask them quick, because we're going to be wrapping it up here real soon. And I hope everybody's got lots of awesome stuff ahead of them to do. Thrifter and Kristen is keeping her son in the dark. My son shares for me, thinks it's a game. Perfect. Here's a cookie. Go play the game. Yeah, for sure.
What are you doing today? What do you have after this?
So I have about 10 more items. I had my photo helper come yesterday, and I have about 10 more items I need to photograph, and then I'm done with everything. And then my intent, that means everything in the house is photographed. And then I intend to list 15, maybe 20 items.
All right.
I'm going to go work it. But first thing I'm going to do is have something to eat. Since we're doing this whole dieting plus intermittent fasting, we're only eating between 12 and 8. So come noon, I'm real hangry.
You're real hangry. So we're going to eat. Then I think I'm going to list a little bit while you finish up your pictures. And then as soon as you're done with that, all that stuff, then I'm going to work on processing my all the stuff that I bought yesterday. I've got a lot of stuff that I got to do some sweater shaving on. I got to do some washing, some stain work. I got to tell you guys, I don't know about you, but for me, if I have like a sweatshirt that's like a really cool sweatshirt that I think is like just awesome, it's got a bunch of pilling on it, it's like the ultimate satisfaction to like bust out my sweater shaver.
You're a little weird.
It's kind of like having what are those little sand gardens that you have the little miniature rake, so
little
that you
zen garden.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's
your sweater shaver is zen.
Yeah, when you have like a sweatshirt that's like just covered in like you can tell, like I can see underneath, it's like a diamond in the rough. I can see underneath it, it's like in excellent condition. It just needs the little to get all the pills off of it. And it's like you get done with that and it just looks so awesome and magical. I have a couple of those ahead of me today and I'm kind of excited about it. Like I have this really cool vintage 80s gray tag Nike kind of color block that's like a cottony track jacket. And it's got pills all over it. And I'm gonna sweater shave that thing and it's gonna look so beautiful when I'm done with it. It's gonna be awesome.
Freaking ridiculous.
Whatever.
So Barry, 5-Day Flipper, asked, when is the next yesterday's Fits box drop? Katie did go ahead and put together some boxes yesterday when she was there.
We're doing it's a very limited number. We're only going to do 10 of them and it's going to be on Friday. We got a lot of feedback and so trying to take that into account. They're going to be pretty much 100% vintage, and I was super, super picky. We're kind of working on figuring out like what stuff we're going to include and how we're going to do it moving forward. And so I was much, much pickier this time, and there's a ton of stuff that didn't get included. And so we were only able to do 10 boxes, but it's all vintage. And the bonus,
we don't want to dilute the market and have it done every single week for ad infinitum. But right now there's still some stuff to go through. So,
and I don't think that they were as good as I was hoping that they were going to be. And I think that they could be a lot better. And so that is basically, just to be completely honest, like this is going to be a process that's going to continue to improve. And so I'm actually really excited about the 10 that we did put together for
some of the boxes
Friday.
Are fantastic, but the reality is a lot of what the issues that happened last week, and I don't think there were many issues. There were a couple people that were unhappy with their boxes. I think that some of the people that had issues with the boxes they received do not know vintage and do not know how to price vintage. So I think some people felt like some items were worth only $10 or $15 when really they were underpricing them because they're looking at comps incorrectly. So that's part of it. Part of it is the lack of knowledge. And then the other part of it is that you had to create 15 additional boxes out of thin air at the last minute. So,
but and it was also just, I had in my mind like this idea of the process that I was going to use. And I think overall it made sense. But when it came to how to equitably divide everything up, I think it fell a little bit short for some people. And that's okay. It's a learning process, like I said, but these next ones, like it was more, I paid attention to what went into every single box, and it's all vintage and it's all like really interesting, cool stuff. And the bonus pieces, I'm just going to say one of them is like an 80s Kinks t-shirt, tour t-shirt, baseball tee, so perfectly worn and faded. He thought it was the Who at first, and I think that's when he like approved putting it in. And when he realized it was the Kinks, it was already over with. It was already done and said. Somebody's gonna get that. That one might be like a $200 or $300 t-shirt. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but it was like an early mid 80s, the Kinks tour t-shirt.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
I think the boxes in general, I think were very good. Again, a lot of people also don't understand. You're not going to necessarily pay $150 delivered for a box. And, that equates to, $15 an item on average. if you can double, triple, or quadruple your money, and you had said 3 to 4 times your money is what you're going to get back. That's absolutely correct. It is not what you get back if you went and found the items in the wild and paid 99 cents for them and sold them for $30 or $50 a piece. Absolutely, it's entirely different. But that's not who these boxes are for. These boxes are already curated. You didn't have to spend 5 days and 5 locations to find the items yourself. You did not have to figure out what was worth buying and what was not worth buying. Yeah. So there's a big difference between buying something and having it already curated for you and going out and buying something in the wild.
But with that said, I'm telling you, we're changing it. They're improving. I only focus on vintage, so I think it only makes sense that the future boxes are pretty much just going to be vintage. And I think that taking a lot of people's feedback, we've made some changes and they're going to be like better than they were. And so I think it's better that we're doing like a smaller release this week, because I really want to hear what those people have to say about this next small grouping of boxes, because it is really important to us that we're putting out a really good product consistently every time we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
quick question. Karen asked, hey girls, how do I cancel this perfectly? If you're unhappy with the product or you want to cancel for any reason, you go right into your site and go into account. And there's all the ways you can, cancel, downgrade, change your membership, whatever you need to do. If you have questions about the product or it's not working the way you need it to, or it's not helping you, then feel free to contact their support. Because sometimes it's an issue with your browsers not syncing correctly or what have you. They've always been able to walk me through and fix any issues that I had. And I actually haven't had any issues in months. I only had issues in the very beginning when they were going through beta and there were some problems here and there. And they took the time to individually help everybody. So.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. But real quick, Key Lime Kisses wants to know, what was the brand of bleach tabs I talked about last week? Is it a color safe bleach? I was talking about, I believe they're Clorox concentrated bleach tabs, but they have like generic brands and stuff like that. They're these concentrated bleach tabs. I would not say they are color safe. They are literally for bleaching white t-shirts, sweatshirts. Now, what is color safe is the artwork on t-shirts. Most t-shirts, as long, you've got like a white t-shirt and it's got the screen printing on it, that is actually safe from bleaching. When you bleach, that will not bleach. But if you're doing like a ringer tee and it's got like it's a white t-shirt and it's got like the red or blue or green or whatever color here, that is dyed fabric, and that will be bleached if you use those tabs. That will absolutely bleach that. So you kind of want to play around a little bit with those and try it with maybe some white t-shirts that you're not as concerned about if something goes terribly wrong. Because I was definitely nervous when I first did it, and I realized like, oh, this stuff bleaches just fine. It's totally cool. All right, guys, we're going to call it a day. We will see you. Be on the lookout Thursday night. I'll drop a very short video of the next round of yesterday's Fits boxes. I actually show a couple of the boxes randomly, like every single piece that went into them, plus the extra goodies, the 3 extra huge t-shirts that are awesome. So you can get a better idea of what exactly is going to go into these boxes, and in case you're still on the fence about whether or not you want to try one out. But that's going to go up Thursday night, and then they're going to be available on Friday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. And obviously, I'll be providing a link for that as well. But anyway, I guess we'll see them on Sunday.
We'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah. Bye.
Have a good week.
Let's go get something to eat. I'm hungry.